Team Z plays rock, paper, scissors, to determine who at what position will play. Isagi wins and states he will be forward. An hour earlier, Ego explains that the first selection will involve 5 groups with 5 teams and only the first 2 teams will continue. The losers will be kicked out of Blue Lock. 5 minutes before the game, Team Z determines how they will play. The first game in Building 5 is between Team X and Team Z, and will be 45 minutes long. The game starts and Bachira passes to Isagi. However, a moment later, Reichi takes the ball from him, stating he doesn't care about the team as the top scorer will pass the selection.
Rules are the top scorer goes through even if we lose. I don't care about the team. I'm surviving this my own way.
Kunigami agrees and takes the ball from Reichi. The rest abandon their positions wanting the ball as well. Team X takes the ball, but their players are also fighting among each other on who to score. The game turns free-for-all and Isagi wonders what to do. Shoei Baro, the 250th in rank, manages to take the ball and get free. Using heel flick, he passes Isagi easily. Kuon and Imamura attempt to stop Baro, but he passes them both with a nutmegs. With ease, Baro then shoots and scores, leaving Iemen unable to react. Baro then states that the ball isn't his friend, but a servant that exists solely so he can shine, as he is the king on the field.
When I play, the ball isn't my friend or any nonsense like that. It's merely a spherical servant that exists solely so I can shine.
Team Z continues to argue on their positions. Isagi and Bachira agree to pass at least between themselves, but Igarashi steals the ball, stating he ain't passing to anyone, but ends up losing the ball. Seeing the selfishness and the fighting in Team Z, the players from Team X decide to support Baro, so that they won't need to chase individual goals, but get wins and proceed as a team. As they give the ball to Baro, 6 players from Team Z attempt to surround him, but he just passes the ball to his teammates, who are now free and they score another goal. Isagi sees that the enemy is now coordinating and playing as a team, while his team is still fighting. He realizes it's all because of Baro, who led them and scored. Isagi then recalls Ego's words that they should create football from zero, but in that case, Baro's play is one, and their strategy to win is built around this one. Isagi then wonders if this is what it meant by creating football from zero. Team X scores 2 more goals, which makes Team Z fight even more. As everyone is thinking about themselves, Isagi realizes that they can't think of how to get from 0 to 1. With this, Isagi knows they can't win. Team X then scores a 5th goal. Bachira is tired from running around and states that there are 3 minutes remaining and they can't score 5 goals, but maybe he and Isagi can score 1 goal as the enemy has now lowered their defense.
You just run straight to the goal. Got it. Let's go.
As the game resumes, Isagi passes to Bachira and runs directly towards the enemy goal. Isagi believes that if they manage to score, they can build the team structure and win their next game. Bachira then hits a long pass for Isagi, letting him come out against the goalkeeper. However, Baro comes facing him, stating he is the king and can't let someone stand out more than him. Isagi wonders what to do. At the same time, Kunigami and Reichi come to his side requesting the ball. Isagi wants to play alone in order to survive as a striker, but in that moment, he sees the field perfectly and passes to his right to Kunigami, who then takes a shot and scores. Isagi is surprised himself he passed. Reichi is angry he didn't pass at him as he was more open. Isagi states he intended to shoot, which only annoys Reichi more, calling him an idiot. Kuon tries to calm Reichi, telling him they scored, but Reichi doesn't care as he isn't the one who scored and he needs to be the top scorer to continue. Baro then approaches Isagi and tells him that if he gets nervous in front of goal, then he isn't cut for a striker and has no talent.
You're not cut out to be a striker. You have no talent, you chump.
The game ends with Team X's 5-1 victory. Isagi wonders if he is unfit to be a striker. After the game, Team Z continues to argue on who will play as central forward. Kuon yells them to stop and explains that they lost 1 time already. If they assume each team will win 2 and lose 2 games, they will have 6 points, which means they need to aim higher and have at least 7 points. If they lose again, it's over for them. Kunigami states he has an idea. He explains that he wouldn't have scored if it wasn't for Bachira and Isagi. Bachira then comes out of the shower naked and states Kunigami's goal was the best goal today and if they continue to do that, they will win. Chidri states he doesn't think that everything Ego said is right. He mentioned Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, but they haven't won the World Cup. However, by saying creating football from zero, he was giving them some hint. Isagi states he doesn't have a strategy, but believes he knows what it means to be at football's zero. He explains that at first everyone was thinking about themselves and how to score, which was 0. However, Baro broke that 0 and turned their chaotic game into 1. With that, a team can evolve into a 10 or even a 100, but they require someone to produce that 1.
A team can evolve into a 10 or even 100, So, ask yourselves what we need to produce that one. Only talent and an unbreakable will can make it possible.
Kwon then states that the striker turns 0 to 1, while the other positions multiply it to 10 or 100. Naruaya and Isagi then believe Ego added that top scorer rule to help them figure this out, as a team is created by the striker, and that must be Ego's message. Ego then shows up on the screen and tells them they are on the right path. He then informs them that the second game in Building 5 just ended and Team V beat Team Y with 8 to 0. Ego then states that while they are on the right path, they still don't know how to turn 0 to 1. Ego then talks about Japan and how Japanese loves having roles allocated to them so they can just complete their tasks. He gives as example baseball, where Japan is in par with the rest of the world, and explains that in baseball each role is clearly defined, which fits the Japanese psyche, and that's why they are strong at it. However, football is not a sport you can win by simply doing your task, thus personal and individual skills are needed. To score is to destroy the structure of the enemy team. Ego tells them to think what weapon they can use to accomplish that.
Take up a weapon, strikers! Now! Just think! How will you mess with the other team, make them yield, and then utterly destroy them on the field?
Team Z goes around and say their weapons and motto. However, Isagi isn't sure what to say, while Chidri refuses to say his. The group determines that even if they know what the other is strong, if they still play like the last time, they won't win again. Isagi wonders if they can come up with a plan that lets everyone shines. Thinking about it, Kwon comes up with a plan that would require their positions to rotate clockwise each few minutes, so everyone gets to be a striker. While eating, Isagi continues to think about his weapon, but recalling Baro, he guesses he may not have a weapon. Kunigami comes and thanks him for the pass in the last game.
Well, I never said thank you the other day. Now I am.
For what?
The pass. Thanks.
Isagi asks him why he plays football. Kunigami states because he wants to be football superhero. He reveals that when he was young, he didn't look up to superheroes, robots or pirate kings, but idolized strikers who scored a win. They weren't fictional, but real-life superheroes who excited him and gave him courage. This is what Kunigami wants to be and doesn't care if someone will laugh at him. Isagi realizes Kunigami has a strong will and finds him quite cool. Kunigami then picks his dinner, which is a steak. That shocks Isagi as he is still eating natto. Kunigami points Isagi at the goal bonus board, where those who score get a point, which can be exchanged for a steak or other goods and luxuries. Seeing it, Isagi sees that for 10 points, you can leave the blue lock for 1 day. Kunigami explains he owns half the gold to Isagi and cuts his steak in half and gives it to Isagi. Kunigami wonders why he passed him, as Reichi was more open. Isagi explains he passed it subconscious and that since Baro was in front of them, he thought that Kunigami could do a mid-range shot as he knew from before how powerful his shot was. Kunigami states that maybe his weapon as being able to make instant decisions is impressive. As they eat the steak, they both love it and Isagi thanks Kunigami for being such a nice guy.
So good! Eat your half or I will!
Sure.
Close to perfection! How'd they make it so hella good?
Told ya.
Kunigami blushes, which makes Isagi realize he can't take compliments well. In match 4 of Building 5, Team Y faces Team Z. Like Team Z, Team Y had also lost their first game. Kwon warns them to be careful about their number 9, Hibiki Okawa. Previously, Kwon explains his plan and that depending on who is the striker at the moment, the rest will support him and try playing his style and weapon. Iemen explains it's too risky to switch the goalkeeper that many times and he will remain as the goalkeeper the entire game. Chidri is also fine staying in defense the whole game. Reichi laughs at Chidri, guessing he lacks talent, but agrees with the overall plan. They also decide to rotate starting from the highest to the lowest rank. As the game starts, Bachira is the first striker with Kunigami and Igarashi behind him. Bachira's weapon is dribbling, a solo tactic, where he gets as far upfield as he can by himself. He passes 2 players, but 2 other face him. Iki Nico also face him and seeing they are 3 now, Bachira passes. Seeing this, Isagi realizes that this was a tactic in which the third player would have stolen the ball and they have practiced it. As they have many more weapons, Isagi believes that eventually one will work. 10 minutes pass and the team rotates with Kunigami becoming the striker, while Bachira and Kwon play behind him. Kunigami right away tells his wings to move up.
Kunigami's weapon is his mid-range shot. He'll run straight toward the front line, lingering just outside the crowded penalty area.
As Kunigami's weapon is his left-footed mid-range shot, Isagi knows that he will run straight to the front line, where they need to give him the ball and he to try and shoot. They execute it perfectly, but Team Y manages to block the shot. Isagi notices that the enemy team is playing only defensively and Okawa isn't even running. Kunigami gets another shot, but it's blocked again. As Nico gets the ball, Okawa starts running and Isagi realizes what is going on. They weren't overhanging Team Y, but Team Y drew them onto them. With everyone in Team Z pulled a bit forward, Nico shoots a long pass for Okawa which leaves him alone against Yemen. Okawa then softly hits the ball, sending it above Yemen and scoring. As another 10 minutes pass, Team Z rotates again and Kuon takes the striker position with Kunigami and Reichi behind him. Kuon's weapon is jumping and he jumps and challenges the ball, winning it. While Kunigami wonders what to do, Nico steals the ball. Team Y then start passing between themselves in the defense, and Isagi realizes that since they are leading, they don't need to rush things. Next up is Reichi with Kuon and Imamura behind him. Reichi tells everyone to just pass him the ball, but the team struggles taking it. At the halftime, Reichi is angry as they couldn't get the ball in his entire 10 minutes.
You have got to be shitting me! Get the damn ball! They had possession my entire 10 minutes of glory!
Imamura also complains that his first 5 minutes are also wasted. The team is also afraid that if they pressure too much the enemy, they can counterattack in Okawa to score another goal. Chidri states that instead of wasting time on useless weapons, they should focus on Bachira and Kunigami, as the enemy team got annoyed when they faced them. Kuon tries to calm them down and that by switching their playstyle, it's hard for the enemy team to figure it out and they need to continue with their strategy. The second half starts, but the game continues to be the same and Imamura is annoyed that they can't even get the ball. Before his 10 minutes run out, he presses up and thanks to that Kagamaru manages to steal the ball. It's Kagamaru's turn to be a striker now with Imamura and Naruaya behind him. The Kagamaru formation requires that Isagi shoots an early cross into the space in front of the goal. As he does, Isagi feels he overdid it, but with his agility, Kagamaru manages to reach the ball and hits a header, but the goalkeeper blocks it. They get a corner, but Isagi has the awful feeling that this may turn into a disaster if the enemy gets the ball. Team Z prepares for the corner. Isagi feels this is their first chance to score, but then it hits him about the premonition he got. As they kick the corner, Isagi starts running backwards surprising his teammates. Isagi notes he misread the situation and the one that is crushing their changes and feeding Okawa is Nico. The goalkeeper manages to punch the ball. Kuon starts to worry as they send too many players in the enemy field and if Okawa gets the ball now it would be over. However, Isagi figured that the premonition he had was about Nico and gets in front and steal the ball, before it gets to him.
I've got it! That jolt I felt earlier came from the true heart of Team Y.
Isagi then takes the ball and sees a chance to score, but Nico gets in his way and Isagi doesn't hit the ball well. However, in an instant, Kagamaru crosses the distance and hits the ball, redirecting it into the goal. Kagamaru hits the post and bleeds, but congratulates Isagi for the good pass. Nico tells Isagi that he realized it and without him, they could have countered and win the game. Isagi tells him they won't let him run free again and as they shut him down, they will win the game. Nico states Isagi has the same eyes as him, but they can't win the game as he is controlling it.
I'm the one calling the shots, not you!
Wait and see, you bull-cut bastard!
It's Naruaya's turn to be a striker with Isagi and Kagamaru behind him. Naruaya's weapon is getting behind the defense. Knowing that, Isagi tries to pass him, but the ball is interrupted. Team X tries to combine with Nico, however Isagi knows that and interrupts the pass himself. It's Isagi's turn to take the striker position, but he decides that they should remain as they are, so that he can continue trying to break Nico's play. Nico states that all heard the weapon's speech by Ego, which caused Nico to think about his weapon. At Blue Lock, everyone has an incredible talent and Nico didn't believe he can outperform Okawa when it comes to shooting. Nico may not be fast or muscular, but his weapons are his eyes that allow him to accurately read the situation on the field, and his brain that excels at coordinating people. With 10 minutes left, it's Igarashi's turn to be a striker with Isagi and Bachira behind him. Igarashi is annoyed as they keep the ball in their defense and wonders if they are going for a draw. Isagi, who is tagging Nico, states that it's not that they don't want to attack, they just don't have one who can start an attack. With only 1 minute left, Nico notes that it's time they use their revenge tactic.
Nearly time for our last resort. It's a revenge tactic for if we're tied.
The start of the tactic is when Okawa picks the ball in their own half of the field, but unlike the previous 89 minutes, Okawa won't be attacking solo. As Okawa gets the ball, the entire Team X joins in the attack. Team Z is desperate to stop them, but Nico ends up alone versus Yemen. Yemen focuses on trying to save the shot as their career depends on it. However, Nico doesn't take the shot, but passes to Okawa. In that moment, the entire Team Z feels they are screwed. However, Isagi felt this was coming and interrupts the ball, stating that this spot smelled the most like a goal. Isagi states that since they are the same, he knew that instead of taking the shot, Nico will pass so Okawa could finish them off. As he chose to pass in the last moment, it means that Nico is unfit to be a striker and Isagi wins. Isagi then starts a counter-attack passing to Kunigami, who then passes to Bachira. After passing two people, Bachira makes a pass into the penalty area. Kagamaru attempts to hit it, but is unable to reach it as the pass wasn't intended for him. Isagi then catches up and takes the shot.
I am a striker!
Team Z celebrates, but Isagi heads towards Nico in silence. Seeing them all crying, he knows he just crushed their dreams. However, having won, he feels good. With the 2 goals, Team Z gets 2 points which they exchange for 2 steaks. They share it among themselves and celebrate their victory. They also decide to share all of their meals, but no one is interested in Igarashi's pickled radish. The team wonder how Isagi knew the ball would go there. Isagi explains that he didn't know, but felt that if he was taking a shot, he would be there. Kunigami then guesses that Isagi's weapon is being able to smell a goal. Isagi is unable to fall asleep. He is still excited about the goal he scored that brought them the win and how good he felt. He goes to the monitor room and sees that Chidri is there and explains that he couldn't sleep and came to watch the game footage. Chidri states he couldn't sleep too and came watching his goal. With such a goal, he understands why Isagi can't sleep, as it must be a glorious moment. Isagi agrees, saying that he would have never scored such goal if he didn't came to Blue Lock. Chidri states that Isagi has good special awareness. He explains that most players judge situations based on their field of vision. However, Isagi feels like he is able to see the whole field and what is happening on it. That skill helped him smell a goal and avert a crisis. While Isagi is doing it intuitively right now, he can learn to do it intentionally. Isagi thanks him for the pointer and states he is a nice guy. He then wonders what is Chidri's weapon. Chidri again doesn't want to say, but Isagi insists, wanting to know more about Chidri. Chidri then reveals he got a right ACL tear injury 1 year ago. The doctor told him that if he injures the same spot again, his career may be over. He used to have a great weapon, and scored many goals kept him pumped and unable to sleep. His leg is healed now, but he fears it will get injured again, and lose his dream and pleasure from football. Chidri reveals he came to Blue Lock to find a reason to give up his dream, and after seeing Isagi's goal, he might be able to give up. Isagi states he is lying and doesn't really want to give up.
So I fight. Or we might as well give up right now. If you're not ready to sacrifice everything, you'll never fulfill your dream.
However, Chidri states that Isagi doesn't know anything about him. Taeri tells Ego that they will soon need a progress report. She helps him clean his room and scolds him on what he eats, but Ego states that his contract only obligates him to things related to football and he refuses to do other things that can be done by others. She wonders about the first selection and Ego states it's going well and it's time to add some spice. Team Z is practicing. While Isagi takes a break, he feels he is still behind the rest and doesn't want to end things with just some fluke goal he scored. Ego then shows on the screen and states the 6th round is over. Ego then states he is adding spice and that everyone's rank is adjusted by their play so far. As a striker they must prove their worth with goals and the more valuable the goals are the higher their rank. Igarashi is still 275th, above his is Chidri, Naruaya, Iemen, Imamura, Reichi, Kuon, Bachira, Kagamaru and Kunigami who is 266th, which makes Isagi the top-ranked player in Team Z with his 265th position. Ego states that finding your weapon is the first step of being a striker and the next step is to polish and improve it. Ego gives example with Messi, saying his weapon is his unique and graceful speedy dribbling, and how fast he swings his leg on his left-footed shot. Everyone has different weapons, so how they polish it will also be different. Ego then reveals that in 24 hours, Team W is facing Team Z. Kuon calls the end of the training and everyone heads for the bath. Isagi wonders on how to polish his weapon as it's not the same as dribbling and he doesn't know when exactly it will come to him. He figures that he can't be exhausted when it comes and decides to polish his physique so that he can run all 90 minutes and be able to do what he needs when the time comes. Seeing Isagi running, Kunigami and Bachira join, as they can't let the top-ranked Team Z player get even more ahead of them.
Not just him, you can count me in.
You too?
Come on! You haven't realized it yet, Isagi? Take a look back there. Team Z revolves around you.
Isagi notes to himself that until recently, he was on no one's radar, but now people are chasing him and he can be reborn here. Observing them, Ego notes it's normal to get fired up when someone who is ranked lower than them get ahead. The existence of one outstanding player can create a spiral of rivalry.